Let me tell you something that'll mess with your head. I was 25, fresh out of college, working remote, broke but hopeful. And then she walked by my window. Tight curls, linen robe, barefoot, humming Stevie Wonder like she owned the air. Her name, Miss Elena, 42, lived right upstairs. Married, no kids, no smiles for the neighbors. But damn if she didn't stop time. That morning, she knocked on my door, said her sink was leaking, and asked if I had a wrench. I didn't, but I offered to help anyway, trying to sound like a man and not some punk with a crush. And just like that, I was in her kitchen, water everywhere, her perfume stronger than logic. Careful, she said, handing me a towel, brushing against my arm. You look like the kind who gets distracted easy. And she wasn't wrong. Her voice wasn't flirtatious. It was amused, bored, even like life stopped surprising her. But I couldn't stop looking. Her eyes held something, tired, but sharp, like she saw right through my heartbeat. I fixed nothing, but she thanked me with lemonade and a story about her garden. I laughed too loud. She smiled politely. Then the silence stretched. That kind of silence where you're begging it to mean something. Over the next few days, I started hearing her heels click upstairs, noticed her shadow through the blinds, watched her stretch on her balcony in the morning sun like a goddamn movie scene I had no business watching. I started coming home early, hoping she'd need help again. Pathetic, maybe real. Absolutely. Then it happened. Friday evening, she came down, wine glass in hand, and asked if I wanted to help her hang some lights. Backyard's too quiet without a little sparkle, she said. We spent an hour tangled in string lights and stories. I learned about her favorite jazz records, the husband who traveled too much, the life she never got around to living. Her laugh was low and lazy, like she just remembered how to feel good. Then, just before she went back upstairs, she leaned in. Not close enough to kiss, not far enough to ignore. Her voice barely above a whisper. You make the air feel younger. She walked away, left me standing in a backyard full of lights and heat and confusion. And that was just the beginning. For 3 nights after that moment in the backyard, I couldn't sleep. I'd lie there thinking about the way she leaned in, the way her words wrapped around my chest and squeezed. You make the air feel younger. Who says that? Who means that? I kept asking myself if I imagined it, replaying every detail like a movie I didn't know the ending to. Saturday morning, I heard knocking upstairs. Her husband was home. Deep voice, tired laugh, footsteps that shook the ceiling like a warning. I stood in my kitchen, frozen, listening to them move around. 2 people who probably hadn't touched in months, now occupying the same silence. And all I could think was, he doesn't deserve her. That evening, I took the trash out slower than usual, just hoping for a glimpse. And there she was, barefoot again, hair tied up, smoking something thin on the balcony. She didn't look at me, not at first, but when she did, it wasn't a look. It was a dare. Sunday, the husband left. Business in Atlanta. I overheard. She waved goodbye, fake smile, closed the door, and exhaled like she just stepped out of a cage. That night, there was a knock on my door. Got any of that lemonade left? She asked, smiling like she already knew the answer. We sat on my couch, feet almost touching. The TV was on volume low, neither of us watching. Her fingers ran over the rim of her glass like she was drawing secrets. I tried not to stare, tried not to hope, but hope was the only thing in that room louder than my thoughts. You know this is dangerous, right? She said. I still on the screen. I haven't done anything, I replied too fast. That's the problem, she whispered. You haven't, but you could. My throat went dry. Every part of me screamed to stand up, open the door, walk away. But I didn't. I stayed. I listened to her stories about college, regrets, the dreams she shelled for someone else's expectations. She wasn't seducing me. She was bleeding in front of me and I couldn't look away. At one point, she touched my hand. Not an accident, not a test, just a moment too long. You ever want something that makes no sense at all? She asked. Every damn day? I said, barely breathing. She smiled sad, knowing, and stood up. Then don't follow me upstairs. She left. I didn't move for 10 minutes. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, replaying her words. Don't follow me upstairs. That wasn't a warning. That was mercy. A chance to walk away before everything shattered. But mercy is hard to take when your heart's already halfway down the hallway. The next morning, I avoided my window. Couldn't bear to see her. Couldn't bear not to. But by noon, the knock came. Soft 3 taps. Familiar rhythm. I opened the door and there she was. No makeup, hoodie as like storm clouds. I need help with the curtain rod, she said flatly. No smile, no whine, just business. But when I stepped inside, the air hit different. Everything was still. Her living room smelled like jasmine and electricity. She didn't speak, just led me down the hall to her bedroom. The curtain rod had fallen. She wasn't lying, but she stood there while I fixed it. Arms crossed like she was watching more than my hands. You didn't follow me last night, she said quietly. I wanted to, she nodded. Then why didn't you? Because if I had, I wouldn't have left. Silence, long loaded. Then she stepped closer. I keep telling myself, this is a fantasy. You'll move. I'll forget. Life will settle. And what if it doesn't? That broke something in her face. In mine. In the space between us, her hand touched my chest. My hand found her waist. Neither of us said a word. And in that moment, the world didn't feel wrong. Felt inevitable. But here's the thing about lines. Once you cross them, you don't go back. We didn't sleep together. Not that day. Not ever. Because the second we almost did, she pulled away, trembling. Can't, she whispered. Not because I don't want to, because if I do, I'll want more. And just like that, she walked me to the door, kissed my cheek, closed it behind me. Weeks passed. She stopped coming down. Her blinds stayed closed. I moved 3 months later, but every now and then when the air smells like jasmine and old records, I think about her, about us, about what almost happened and what didn't. And sometimes the almost hurts more than the memory.